What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video on mods and fixes. Today we are going to replace the power steering gearbox on the 2012 Ram 2500. Mine has the 5.7 liter four-wheel drive. I know it kind of sucks that they put 5.7s in the 2500s, but it's okay. I mean, it does what I need it to do. It doesn't really struggle that much unless I'm going some pretty steep hills with the lowrider being towed in the back. Then it becomes a bit of a pain. But so the front, the steering has been getting a little bit worse. Having to keep the steering wheel going back and forth, just try to for keeping it going straight. So I was not going to make a video on how to do these, because there are a bunch of videos out there on how to do it, but there's no videos on how to do it on this gen of Ram. I'm not even going to bother guessing if this is a 4th or 5th gen Ram. Mine is a 2012, so I'm going to assume it's 2010s all the way to I don't know, 2018 Rams. Even when I was trying to look for measurements on the sockets that I'm going to need on the sizes, I could not get an accurate answer online. So I figured I'm gonna go ahead and just do a video on this, because there is none on this generation. So I guess let's get to it. So the first thing you want to do is put something on your steering wheel to keep it from spinning, because there is a clock spring in here. Last thing you want is that thing for the steering wheel to keep spinning and spinning and spinning, and then you now have to replace your clock spring. You can use bungee cords. In my case, I ended up using my ratchet strap. It's tied down to the seat mounts to keep the steering wheel straight. So now the next thing that I've done was I took my 1 13/16 socket. I already took off the nut right here, and then there's a lock washer behind it. And then I took my, what size is that? Then I took a 13/16 socket, undid that one. So 1 13/16 and just a 13/16 to undo that nut to release the track bar, whatever you want to call that, right there. Steering linkage bar, whatever you want to call it. So I'd already undid those. So now the next thing to do is get a tool so that we can pop that ball joint out, and then we're going to grab the special pitman arm puller, put it on here, and pull it off the steering box before we unmount the steering box from the frame. And the steering box is being held by 3 bolts, which are 18 millimeter. So yeah, it's you go from standard to metric on this job. So we're gonna go ahead and remove the pitman arm right now. To do the job, you are going to need your preference of hammers. You're gonna need a 18 millimeter socket, 1/2 inch socket, 13/16 socket. They can be 1/2 inch or 3/8 drive, doesn't really matter. You're gonna need an 1 inch and 13/16 socket, some kind of pry bar, 13/16 wrench, 18 millimeter wrench, some kind of puller for the pitman arm or ball joints, 1/2 inch impact to use with. If you don't have an impact, then you'll need a socket that fits your tool of a puller. And these tools over here are optional: pliers, flathead screwdriver with a special puller for tabs, and vice grips, which I used as pliers. Anyways, that's what you'll need to do this job. Alright, I got the pitman arm removed. It was a bit of a pain, so what I ended up using was just this one right here from my kit on both the ball joint steering linkage and the for it to release from the old steering box. All right, so now we got that out of the way. So the next thing to do is to remove this half inch. Wait, is it half inch? That one right there. Right there. It's the steering column, steering shaft, whatever you want to call it. Remove that half inch bolt, and then you're gonna use like a pry bar to kind of wiggle that drive shaft off of the drive that's on the box itself, off of this one. Sorry, right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove that, and then we'll be right back. Oh man, I'm getting too old for this. Okay, so I kind of got ahead of myself. So I went ahead, took a 18mm ratchet and unhooked one of the pressure lines that's right up here, and then I went ahead under this clip right here, because one of the lines I'm going to remove it with the power steering box. So this line right here is the one that I'm going to take off with the box. This is just a regular rubber hose, so while this is out, go ahead and replace it. So yeah, so that's what I did so far. The power steering line that I did is the one that's closest to you while you're underneath the truck, grabbing it from right here. That's the only one that you really want to take off. Disconnecting from the power steering box, and then the line furthest away from you that's hooked up to the cooler is the one you want to take off with the box. It just makes life a whole lot easy, because the fittings for the hoses on top of the steering box they're two different sizes. So instead of guessing what size that is, I just went ahead and removed the one closest to you right here, which is leaking right now. So all right, so now that we got that done, so I'm going to tell you right now what I'm going to do next. So go ahead and grab something, because this is one of those zip tie clips that's attached to this little bracket that's attached to this power steering box. So undo that clip, remove it from the bracket like so, and then remove this hose. You're gonna leak, so have another drip pan ready, unless you're not afraid to get dirty. And then that's pretty much all we're gonna do down here. Next thing will be is to remove the 3 bolts that are holding this power steering box. Now that thing alone is pretty heavy, so what I would recommend is have a buddy undo the bolts while somebody is down here holding it, because it could hurt somebody. Last thing you want to do is this thing just to fall down and rips something as it goes down. You don't want that. So for the part of removing this from the frame, I recommend having somebody helping you hold it. I mean, you could do it by yourself, but you are most likely going to get oil all over you if you try to do this by yourself. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Remove the hose, remove the 3 bolts, have my son over here so I can hold this while he removes the last bolt, because I already removed 2 of the 2 bottom ones from the other side of the frame rail. You can easily get it without removing anything from the wheel well. Let me show you real quick. Let me get my fat ass out of here. Oh man. Okay, that was the mission. All right, so yeah, those 3 bolts right there, 1, 2, 3, those are 18mm bolts. 18, right? I said 18. Now I'm confusing myself. Yep, 18. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quick. I'm also gonna go ahead, clean up, take a wire wheel to the pitman arm, clean it, paint it, and put it on the new power steering box before I mount it in, because it'll be easy. Just do it now. And these arms do go on one way. I mean, technically two ways. Forward or backwards. That's pretty much it. So yeah, just a 50% chance. So if you have your steering wheel straight, then your pitman arm will be facing towards the back of the truck. So let me go ahead, get the old one out real quick, call my son down here so he can help me, and I'll show you how this thing looks once it's mounted onto the frame rail. Probably I'll show you before, because there is a bracket we're gonna have to put on this right here. So we'll be right back. Okay, got the old one out. So this is the bracket that I'm talking about that you need to transfer to the new one. This one right here. You gotta transfer it to the new one. Now once you pull out the old one, don't be afraid. So the old one, the original one off the truck, has 4 bolts holding this top cap on. The new one has 6. Alright, so this bracket should fit just fine on the new one. So go ahead and remove the nut. This nut gets transferred to the new one, mounting the bracket, and then mount the new one in. So far everything looks good on the new one. The holes are in the right place. The shaft is the correct, and I already tested the pitman arm. It fits perfectly on the new one. So we're gonna go ahead, do that one real quick. All right, I got the new one in there. It's nice and snug to the frame rail. I have not yet torqued it down all the way or tightened it, but it's really snug on there. So now what I'm gonna do is connect the upper lines. I did go ahead and replace the hose that goes on that line right there from the cooler to the steering box. I replaced that hose. You use the original fitting that goes off of it. For example, this one. This one right here. You reuse that fitting. You put a new O-ring on it. That's the new hose right there. So now I'm going to slip this one on first. Slip that one on first because it's the one furthest away, and then that hose right there, that line, then you connect it last because it's closest to you this way. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect the 2 lines real quick, and then after that I plan on reinstalling the dry shaft to that right there, the stub. And if it doesn't line up, just move this back and forth until they line up again, and that's pretty much it. After that, tighten up that 1/2-inch bolt, and then what I would do is reconnect the steering linkage to the pitman arm, tighten it up. You don't have to tighten it up completely, but go ahead, tighten it up nice and snug, and then you can go ahead and finish tightening up this nut right here, the 1 13/16 nut of the power steering box. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I would suggest you doing. And like I said, it will need 2 people to remove that steering box. One person holding it, one person in taking off the nuts and bolts or putting them on when you're getting ready to reinstall the new one. I had my oldest boy help me with that part. So I don't have a lift. I'm doing it from the ground. So yeah, I mean, this thing alone is pretty heavy, so I would still recommend 2 people to do it. But if you have a lift, I can kind of see you doing it by yourself, one hand on it and one hand starting the nuts on the other side. But you're kind of risking that thing. I don't know how much it weighs, but you risk that thing falling on your face or landing on your feet. Alright, well, I'm gonna go ahead and finish installing this. There's no special way of putting it back together. You just do the exact same opposite on how you took it apart. So that's what I'm about to do right now. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, got it all buttoned up, tightened up. So, just a quick recap to do the job is removing the linkage, removing the pit arm. Unless yours comes with the new one, then you don't have to worry about it. The 3 bolts that mounts the steering box to the frame, the two hoses connected to the top of the steering box. There's 2 different sizes, so there's no way on getting them confused. If you're keeping the old lines, you're not replacing them, make sure you replace the O-ring while you're at it. Replace the hoses while you're at it. One is in good condition, the other one wasn't, so I went ahead and just replaced one. And replacing this bracket from the old one to the new one. And just topping off your fluid, make sure everything works, and that's about it. And the next step after this would be just turning it on, check for leaks as you're filling it up, and that's pretty much it. That's what it takes to replace the steering box on this 2012 Ram 2500 5.7 liter. Could be the same for the other ones, as long as they're 4x4, 4-wheel drive, whatever you want to say or call it. But that's how it is. This could probably be a good 2-hour job, anywhere to a 4-hour job, depending on your expertise of working on vehicles. It could take you maybe a half hour if you're really good and you already know what tools you're going to need to do the job. Alright, well, that's it for me for today on the Ram. I'll catch you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Peace.